This episode of the Grooming by Rudy podcast is proudly brought to you by PetEdge, your trusted source for professional pet grooming supplies.
So you're running a busy dog grooming shop, or you're just simply grooming a dog, and you cut or you nick, or worse than that, you injure the dog in any other way. Could be a big problem. Let's talk about it in this episode of the Grooming by Rudy podcast.
You're listening to the Grooming by Rudy podcast.
Welcome back to the Grooming by Rudy podcast. For those of you who don't know us, we are father and son dog grooming duo with over 55 years of combined experience. And the purpose of our podcast is to teach you guys about dog grooming and anything else that is pet related. So welcome to the show. Anthony, how you doing?
Doing really good, man. Someone got a haircut.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Thanks.
Got a haircut. You got the blondie shirt on.
Yeah. The funny thing, and you have a John Lennon shirt on.
Yeah, dude, Lennon, baby. Got the Lennon shirt.
Do you get a haircut too, or?
Oh, yeah. I definitely got a haircut, just like you.
Yeah, looks the same.
Yeah.
I guess you just did you didn't really want the top part.
No, I wanted it short. I just a little off the sides, I went like with you, what you went with a shorter cut. I wanted to kind of trim it up, end of summer,
Yeah. It's the heat's going to start, it's going to start to mellow out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We kind of have the opposite thing going right now. I have really short on the sides, a little bit more up top, and you sort of have a little bit on the sides and zero up top.
Yeah, I like it like that. I like the style of that. It just looks really cool. It looks like Moses spreading the Red Sea open, That's what I like about it. I like the Bozo the Clown look for some reason. If I let it grow in, it really looks nice because it kind of it grows out like that. And then I just kind of have this landing pad.
I do remember when we used to go to water parks a lot when I was growing up, and when my dad, you still had a lot of hair on the sides, and when we would go down a tube slide, and he would come up, and the sides would just be inexplicable. Wow, that's what that looks like.
Wow, I hope I don't look like that someday.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting a little worried because they call these the alleys. I'm getting some alleys coming in, my hairline's starting to kind of go back. So I don't know.
I really like the haircut though. It looks good on you, better than that stupid mullet you had. That was such a dumb haircut. I'm sorry.
Listen, it might be back at some point. I don't know, but it was. I had that for 2 years, and I think it was just time for a change. I also I love wearing hats, but I was beginning to be forced to wear a backwards hat. You guys have seen in a bunch of our previous episodes here. I was forced into wearing the backwards hat every day, and I don't like doing that.
Too much maintenance.
A little bit, yeah. I'd rather, because this takes me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
A little bit of hairspray.
Yep.
And
same as me.
Yeah.
Same
right. Same as you.
Takes me mine takes me no seconds.
Yeah. Your hair is probably drier after you come out of the shower than it even was before you got in.
Yep. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one good thing about it. I could swim underwater way faster now. It just breaks right through the right through the friction.
You have the natural swimmer's cap.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. You could oil it up. Yep. I think they oil it.
Yep.
God, you're probably like an angel in the water.
I am. I'm very elegant. I'm poised in the water. I learned how to float recently, so I'm very good in the water.
I saved his life once.
Yes, we did. We were on a cruise, and
we were snorkeling.
And
then a little bit of water got in his snorkel, and you just freaked out. You panicked.
I started choking.
Yeah, you started choking, and he freaked out.
Yeah.
And I was right next to him, and I'm also an angel in the water, so I sort of saw what was happening, and I kind of just went under and propped up your body a little bit.
Yes.
But before I went under, I said, Dad, stop panicking. Stop panicking. I'm going to go underwater. I'm going to hold you up. Catch your breath and just relax. And I did. I went underwater for like 15 seconds and held him kind of up by the waist.
But then we found this like rock underneath. It wasn't a rock. It was actually like cement, like discarded cement that they had put in the water to create a jetty. And it had a big rusty piece of reinforced steel coming out of it. Like anybody could really gash themselves. But I kept myself afloat by keeping my big toe right on the end of it. And it held me up until I can get some air and make the swim back.
Yeah, because it was a long swim too. We from shore, there was this island far that was more than a football field away.
Yeah,
and
I wasn't going to
swam
make
the whole thing.
I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
And you saved my life, and he really did. He stayed poised. He stayed so calm that I thought he didn't care about me. He didn't panic at all.
Here's the thing. What was going through my head was like, because the water, it was about 7-8 feet. It wasn't bad. And I was like, no. I'm not losing my father in 8 feet of water. We're not like at sea. Like I'm not like I had to snap into action and get you going.
Yeah. And you did. Thank you. Thank you.
We're short. So yes, like 8 feet of water is.
It may as well be, 200 meters.
Yeah, right. We're only 5'6" and 5'7", and I'm only 5'7" if I'm wearing really big sneakers.
And I'm only 5'6" if I lie about it.
Yeah.
So let's get into if your dog gets injured.
Yeah.
Because that's the topic of this episode here. So you're working in your dog grooming shop and you accidentally nick a dog or you cut a dog, right? So first of all, you have to address it immediately, no matter what it is, right? So you're gauging what the severity of the injury is. Regardless of its severity, you have to address it immediately.
Yeah, there's a couple things you could have around. Not that you could, that you really, really should. You should obviously always have a first aid kit around. Septic powder is a groomer's best friend. You're gonna need this no matter what. Don't want to. You should never hit the quick. If you're a professional groomer, you're that's bound to happen from time to time. So make sure you have septic powder. Peroxide is another good thing to have around. And make sure you have your owner's information. That's very, very important because it's why we always push to have good relationships with your clients, and that's part of the job. A lot of talking involved. People want to talk about their dogs or just their life. They want to ask you sometimes about your life and how you're doing. Have those small talks. Make sure you have customers on file, whether you have it on a computer or whether you write them down old school. We sort of do like a mix of both. Just make sure you have vet information and at the very least somebody's cell phone number to get in touch with just in case, God forbid, something happens and you got to get in touch with the owner very quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very important, guys. And again, based on the severity of the possible injury, you want to be able to immediately call a vet, right? So with that being said, it's very important that you have in your release forms that you have the authority to bring their dog to their vet or any vet that's close enough that you can get to the dog to in case of a more severe injury. So it's very, very important. Release forms are very important in this aspect because you don't want to get sued. Right? I mean, you could have a possible lawsuit if you bring a dog to the vet and it's not authorized, it's not your dog. But by having a release form, it gives you that authority of, yes, and God forbid something happens to your dog, I'm going to address it immediately, address it quickly, and get your dog to a vet. Now, if it's not such a severe a cut or nick, right? If it's just a nick, if it's something, this happens a lot, guys. I mean, you can nick an ear very easily. You could be doing a sanitary clip with a 10 blade, and yeah, you could nick a dog. You could nick a dog quite easily sometimes. Right? You have to be very, very careful. But let's just assume it's not a terrible, terrible injury, like Anthony said. You got to break out with that first aid kit. A first aid kit is a must, right? You're definitely gonna want to disinfect immediately, peroxide, and definitely the septic powder is going to stop the bleeding, and it's going to also provide a little bit of an antiseptic to help not allow that nick to turn into an infection.
And one thing for sure, just to go back to the first aid kit thing very quickly, you should just have one of those around anyway, because remember too, groomers get hurt. So this just a sidestep that has nothing to do with the dog, but you know, you're working with shears, changing your blade. Sometimes you could slice your finger open really easily. Just have a first aid kit around. You'll thank yourself one day, because you'll need it at some point. And hopefully, if you're lucky, it is just for you and not for the dog. But yeah, another thing is, if you do have a small accident, and again, we're speaking in terms of like it's a nick, it's a small cut, or you hit the vein, make sure you tell the owners, guys. Please tell the owner, because there's ethics involved here. If somebody may, I mean, I guess this is me talking to the groomers out there, but if you weren't a groomer and you brought your dog to somebody and something small happened and they got a small nick or a cut, wouldn't you want to know about it? You don't know what that can possibly turn into. Dog might start licking at it, start an infection, and if you thought in your head, well, it's just a small nick, nothing's going to happen to it, and in most cases, nothing does happen to it, but it's still worth telling the owner. Don't keep that from them. Don't let the dog start to lick at a wound and then let the owner scramble in their heads, or blame themselves even, if that's the case. Like, it's most owners, especially, again, if you have a good relationship with your clients and your clients trust you and you have healthy relationships, most owners, if it's a small nick and it's not that big of a deal, they're just going to forgive you anyway, and they're probably not even going to stop coming to you, because they understand that. Teach your clients a little bit over time about how grooming works and all of that, and that way there's really not any shock if there is a tiny bit of an ear nick, or a little something on the belly, a little bit of brush burn or something like that. These are accidents that we're going to tell you how to avoid, but they do happen sometimes. So yeah, be honest with the owners, especially if it's something that's so minuscule. There's no point in keeping that from them. It's you think about how crazy that is. Oh, it's just a tiny nick, I'm not going to tell them. Well, if it's just a tiny nick, then don't be ashamed of it. Just tell them. They'll likely forgive you. But also, if they don't want to forgive you, that's their right too. If you did nick their dog, give the owner has the right to say, well, they nicked my dog, I don't want to go to that groomer anymore, and give them that choice. It's not fair otherwise. It's unethical.
Great point. And it's one of the difficulties of this job. You're dealing with a lot of emotion, especially if something like that happens. But great point, Anthony. No matter how small the injury may be, you have to tell the owner. No matter, it doesn't matter. Don't try to get away with it. Don't try to put on septic powder and go, oh, maybe they won't notice it. Maybe they won't notice it, but it doesn't matter. Just, it's ethical to tell the owner. Now, let's say it's a more severe injury, right? Let's say, a dog comes in that is so stressed out, goes into a seizure. This happens, guys. Again, it's one of the downfalls of this business. It's a lot of pressure for one person to have to deal with. And that's why you dog groomers are very special people. We're special people because we handle it, or we at least try. But if it's a more severe case, right, where a dog goes into a seizure, you may have to get that dog to a vet, right? And then you're definitely having to explain that to the client. But it could get even worse than that. Okay, a dog can go into cardiac arrest. It just can happen, and it does happen. It's just part of the environment, right? You can have an older dog who has a weak heart. You're trying to groom it. You don't know what the dog is feeling, and it happens to go into a cardiac arrest. It's a terrible thing, but this is where you need to know dog CPR. It's very, very important, guys. Know dog CPR. Either have a CPR chart hanging up that you could read from, okay? Or you go to a trade show, you go to some of the shows, and they offer a CPR course at the shows. I highly recommend that you educate yourself further, and you have to know CPR, dog CPR, and keep up with it too, because these things don't happen often. But when they do, it's going to trigger a response in you, and you have to know what to do. You have to really know how to breathe into a dog, how to pump the chest. It's similar to humans, but it's very, very different. It's a dog. The rib cage is different, so it's a whole different aspect. But again, I highly recommend that you know CPR.
And, just because this profession is not a licensed-based profession, unfortunately, doesn't mean you shouldn't know how to do that. I think that if anything, the responsibilities of groomers, because this profession doesn't require a license, the responsibility just falls more on you, and it's you owe the people whose dogs you're going to be with for the day this. You owe them that. You owe them this knowledge to know how to do everything you can to keep their dog safe, and this is part of it. And when you've been grooming as long as we both have, you're likely to come across something like this, like some of the stuff that we're talking about here. Not often at all, thank God for that. But when it does happen to you, you like you just said, you have to know how to act. You have to know what to do. You have to know where your stuff is, what your plan of attack is going to be, because when the dogs are with you for the day, they are your dogs for the day. The owners are not there. I know some grooming shops, there's some exceptions, and there's bring your own dogs and stuff. We're talking specifically if you're at home alone with your dog, or if you're a professional groomer who does things the way we do, where we do drop-offs in the morning, the people come later and pick up their dogs. When we're with these dogs for the day, they are our responsibility. We have to think of them as, you're our dog. We love you and you're our dog, and we're going to treat you the way we would expect that your owners treat you at home, with love and care. And this is all part of that. Know how to protect these dogs, because for the day, they're yours.
And just like Anthony saving my life when I was starting to drown, he maintained his composure. And he acted accordingly. He saved his dad from drowning. So
did what I had to do, man.
You did, and it's very important. And I'm not even kidding. It's very important that you maintain your composure in a situation like that. And like Anthony said, if you've done it as long as we have, you are going to come across it more than likely. We have, and hopefully we did the right thing. I think we did. But how do we lessen the chance of an accident happening, a nick, a cut, or even worse than that? How do we lessen that chance? Well, one of the first things we could do is just, you have to take the course, take some safety courses, okay, so that you know what to do just in case. So right off the bat, cover yourself with that. Make sure you take some safety courses, some safety lessons, table training lessons. If you have a dog on the table and you have a loop on them, you never, ever want to leave that dog unattended. It's just a rule, but I still see people break that rule, guys, and I just cringe at it. You have a dog on the table, you can just reach for your phone, and in a split second, the dog is dangling off the table. This is something that you just do not ever want to happen, and it doesn't ever have to happen by you simply just staying at that table and always having a hand on that dog. So again, just safety courses. Keep up with that and keep learning that, and know how to keep the dog safe, so that in case it does happen, you know what to do. Also, know your limits. Know your limit as a dog groomer. If you have a dog that's just overreacting, is so reactive to everything you're doing, it's trying to bite the clippers, it's trying to jump off the table, it's trying to bite you. Listen, it may not be the grooming of the year. Okay, you're not going to win first prize for best grooming, because you might have to stop grooming that dog. And again, it's better just to have the dog go home intact. Okay, maybe that ear didn't come out that great. Maybe you couldn't get out all of the hair under the eyes, but at least you're giving the dog back intact. It wasn't a vet visit. You didn't injure the dog, and you try again next time.
And on top of knowing your limits, know your dog. Know the dog that's on the table. There's so many examples, but I'll give you guys just like a quick few. We have dogs that don't like, we have multiple dryers in our space here, that we have dogs that only like certain ones. Some of them are too loud. Some of them aren't like powerful. Some of them like the more powerful ones. Some of them like the smaller ones. Some of them don't mind getting brushed in their rear. Some of them hate being brushed in the face. With the dryer involved. We have certain dogs that are cage shy. Some that aren't. We have certain dogs that I'll open the cage to let them out, and they refuse to come out unless they have a leash on. They like to be led out of the cage. Things like that. So no, there's dogs that we know when we put them on the table. Oh, if we use that dryer, this dog freaks out. They'll freak out. They don't like it, and they'll be jumping into our arms. And if you're not ready for something like that, you could not catch the dog, or the dog could fall off the table. You have to know your dogs. Approach everything gingerly, especially when it's your first time with a new dog or new client. These are all things. It's why it's actually very daunting when you take on just one new client. It's not ever. This is not the business of, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Chuck them on the table. This is not a chuck them on the table kind of business. We're not mechanics. You don't you chuck a new dog on a lift and you just get to work. No, every dog is different. You could have identical dogs that are the same breed. They will act different in some way, shape, or form. So know the dog that's on your table. That is a really, really big thing in keeping some of these accidents at bay.
Very important, guys. And also, know your dog in between groomings, meaning get health updates every time you're grooming that dog, okay? Something could come up within 6 weeks, 8 weeks where, maybe the dog has a growth. You have to get updates. That's why it's important to communicate with your client, with the dog owner, and ask them questions. As the client, as the owner, they should always update you if there's any changes. Okay, if the dog is having any kind of heart problems, or there's maybe he hurt his ACL, or there's a growth that got bigger. In between groomings, always have a health update. Again, that's going to help you avoid any injuries. If I know that growth on the ear got bigger, I'm going to be more cautious.
And this all loops around, again, to having a good relationship with your clients. You won't even have to think about it if you have a really strong bond with your clients, or most of them. I know some people just, have no interest in friendship. But hopefully, if you're lucky, 99% of your clientele will enjoy talking to you about their dog and the goings-on of their life. So you won't even have to think about it. You're going to get those health updates. It's not even going to be a special step that you have to remember, because you have a healthy relationship with your clients.
Yep, I couldn't agree more with what Anthony just said. So really hope this podcast helped you guys out. And we apply it here, and we will continue to apply it, because it's not something that ever goes away. You always have to be kind of, aware of what you're doing as a professional dog groomer. So all you groomers out there, thumbs up, and keep doing a great job.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit like and subscribe. You could also go and check out our other YouTube channel. It's called Grooming by Rudy, where we have lots of helpful dog grooming tips and tutorials over there. Special thank you to the sponsors of this episode, our friends over at PetEdge. Make sure you go to PetEdge.com. Take advantage of our promo code. It's Rudy5. You'll save $5 off of every purchase of $100 or more. Until next time, take care, guys.